Lasit Tambuldenia comes to the crease, number 96 in his back. 12th game, best of 40 was made in England at the same venue. Pretty sure he'll be having those memories as well. He's here because Dinesh Chandimal going for a reverse sweep, only finding Rakim Cornwall at slip. Good anticipation as mentioned, and rewardingly Austin Chase picking up another wicket.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about the shot selection there, Maha. We're speaking about the sweep, but not the reverse sweep. The sweep was an option. Square leg was inside, but Chandimal feeling that the reverse sweep was a better option there. His dismissal brings Lasit Tambuldenia to the crease. Both batsmen wearing chest pads, Maha. Two spinners operating.
These boys been taught when they're young against quality bowling attack always to wear all the padding what is possible as bowlers. Yeah, speaking about Dinesh Chandimal, could have had the conventional sweep shot as an option. Saying that, a good knock for 45, making come back to the test team. Chase picking up 4th wicket. In the 5th with a slip field, a silly mid off and a silly mid on. Nicely played, Lasit Tambuldenia. Not a mug with the bat. Good bat, definitely. Can defend as well as when needed, can use the long handle as well.
Chase around the wicket will get some drift into Tambuldenia. It does get good bounce, does Roston Chase. To end a successful over, 361 for 8 Sri Lanka after 128 overs. There you go, Sri Lanka, 361 for 8. Two tail-enders, Chamira, Tambuldenia, and with just Jai Wickrama to come. Sri Lanka looking to get to that 400, if not go past it, and really grind West Indies on the second day.
Warwick to continue. Silly mid off, a silly mid on, and a slip fielder attacking positions. Oh, top edge. Easily caught at short mid wicket. Trying to go all mid wicket with the vacant big area, and only managing to get the top edge, giving Warwick his 3rd wicket. And easily caught at short mid wicket.
Sri Lanka losing wickets here quickly. Vishmata Chamira losing his composure, trying to go for that big hit. Just the top edge, and a safe catch by Craig Brathwaite. 361 for 9 Sri Lanka. Vishmata Chamira departing for 3.
Left armour joining another left armour. Praveen Jai Wickrama, number 11 for Sri Lanka. This is his first class career. A score of 13 not out, a 23-year-old, but very impressive in his test debut against Bangladesh. Pretty sure the senior batsman Lasit Tambuldenia will be a bit aggressive, try and get much as possible, always in goal. The first inning score matters the most. This one, Chamira perishing, going for a big stroke. And straight away, Craig Brathwaite into the attack with a leg gully, a silly mid on, a silly mid off, and a slip in the offside. Rakim Cornwall. Nice time.
Well, the batsman did cross while that ball was in there. Tambuldenia is on strike, the left-hander. Two left-arm spinners. facing against the left armour.
Catch it.
Down the track again, almost caught at mid-on, falling just short of Jason Holder. And Muldenia caught in two minds there, coming down the track. Is the wicket of Dushman, the Shamira. Looking for that expansive shot over mid-wicket, only succeeding in getting a top edge.
Yeah, Muldenia going for a single. Timed it too well. Almost caught at mid-on. Easily exchanging for a single.
Catch it, Bona.
That's good bowling. Very good bowling by Warrican.
Everybody with mid solid, so.
Chase picked up 4 wickets. Warrican 3 wickets. Been the pick of the bowlers. Been very impressive. Containing, attacking. There you go. Just outside the off stump.
Going war.
And the two left-arm spinners will be taking very closer look before they come out of bowling.
Yeah, Warrican has slowed his pace down as well. That's something that they can take from here. And Muldenia and Jayavikrama.
Catch a bonus, stay down.
And just pushed out into the covers to end the over at 362 for 9.
This session 3 wickets lost for Sri Lanka. 21 runs in 13 overs. Good fight back by the West Indians. Being picked up only 3 wickets the entire day yesterday. 6 wickets so far. Fighting back very, very hard. Chase to continue. And Lasith Muldenia fancying his chances with a slip and a gully. A Silamid off and a Silamid on. Interesting to see whether Muldenia will lose the long handle against the spin or go with the spin. Mid off up, mid on up, square leg up. Will be very, very tempting for Muldenia. It's reminding viewers, Muldenia not a mug with the bat, can use a long handle when needed.
And Muldenia threatening to come down the track. Doesn't seem to be too comfortable in defense. Mid-off field is going to be kept interested at Jaden Seals, I believe, at mid-off. Driven hard into the covers. And Muldenia, as you said, Maha, is not going to die wondering, is he? He's going to take Roston Chase on.
Local Lara, isn't he? Lasith Muldenia. Straight away. Roston Chase dropping Jaden Seals, a substitute. Few steps. Short this time. Find that gap. Very well played by Lasith Muldenia. That time Roston Chase dragging it down. And Lasith Muldenia perishing that gap through extra cover for a boundary.
Yeah, dragging shot on that occasion. They're using the crease, Roston Chase. But Muldenia equal to the task. Good timing. Good connection on that shot.
Shot again. This time, easy single towards short extra cover.
Yeah, 2 short deliveries by Roston Chase. How often does that happen, Maha? Bowler sets the field knowing that the batsman is going to take him on, but then also compensates it or overcompensates with the ball, drops it short.
Especially when I understand Roston Chase trying to go for this 5th wicket. Too desperate and eager. Going to drag down most of the time. Just believe in the process. Keep building those dot deliveries. Keep bowling those good deliveries much as possible. Eventually it's going to come. Don't try too hard as a spinner. Sometimes just go the other way around. Nicely played by Praveen Jayavikrama. 367 for 9 after 130 overs as we take a break for a water break.
367 for 9. Great comeback by the West Indies, considering that Sri Lanka started the day with just 3 wickets down. The West Indies have come back pretty strongly, and just 100 runs, and they've taken 6 wickets. And the spinners have been brilliant, particularly Roston Chase, 4 for 72. Warrican 3 for 83. They've been excellent. The last pair of batsmen for Sri Lanka. They'll want to extend this partnership. Not much to talk of, still 6 runs. But they'll want to bat long. They'll want to get close to that 400. Time is on their side. We do know that the golf pitch generally deteriorates. It starts to take spin, particularly going into the 3rd day. So this little stand might be interesting. Warrican from over the wicket with a short leg, short mid-wicket and a slip. And he's getting turned straight away from around the leg stump, Amir.
Yeah, he was turning the ball on day 1. It's a pity that he wasn't consistent with his line and length. Oh, that's a good stroke. He's no mug with the bat. Well, that's for sure, Ambuldenia. His highest score was on this particular venue when he scored 40 runs against England. He's gathering some important runs for his side, that's for sure, Ambuldenia.
Very, well, 2 left-arm spinners. I don't think Sri Lanka will take that route very often, playing 2 spinners, 2 left-arm spinners, I beg your pardon. So certainly there'll be friendly competition between these two in terms of bowling and batting, and just to try and show who adds more value to the side in case a decision has to be made between the two. Jai Vikrama's there by the strength of his debut. Ambuldenia hasn't done anything wrong. He's been good, but unfortunately he did get injured. So injuries can be cruel. So huge opportunity for these young men.
Easy.
Well managed by Jai Vikrama. But it surprises me why Hasaranga is not in the squad. His bowling was well suited to this surface, in my opinion.
I think that's a debate, or that's a view expressed by quite a few people, but he's now very much established as a white ball player. Plays the T20 format and the longer format of the white ball. So he, for some reason, he's not figuring in the red ball format, though he did play 3 or 4 test matches. 4 test matches. Didn't return the same kind of harvest as he would have got in the other formats. 371 for 9.
Roston here.
371 for 9. Roston Chase has been the pick. He's been impressive. I like what you've seen out of him. Nice action. He's got good alignment. Nice pivot. And he's generally been good with the areas he's bowled. Roston Chase generally makes up quite well. Has all the ingredients of a quality off spinner, starting with the action, the run up, the delivery, and the hip rotation as a spinner would want or required at this level.
The only thing I would like him to improve is his non-bowling arm. It's kind of dead. He uses that non-bowling arm well. can improve drastically.
Yeah, I see your point. I see your point about the non-bowling arm. It's a long run for Cornwall. He's done well. 3 runs for the young Jayavikrama. But yeah, I see your point about that non-bowling arm where it drops quite quickly. Doesn't really hold it firmly enough, if that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, for me, it's just a limb. Not a lot of involvement in the action. He's fielded quite well. Picked up... he held 2 catches. Oh, big one. That's sailing over the boundary line for 6. No respect for the highest wicket taker in this innings. And Baldini decided he's going to go against the turn and did it quite efficiently. Not an easy stroke to execute on this surface.
I think the right approach. Also hitting it with the breeze. We do know that there is a strong cross breeze, so that's intelligent batting. Not going against it, but going with it. But it's a bold shot and the way to go. He's not just going to hang around there. He's playing proper cricket shots. These are not slogging, proper cricket shots. The drives were good. He did square cut as well, and now this loft over mid-wicket. He's certainly trying to prove a point, I'll tell you. 380 for 9. .380 for 9. Partnership of 19 for the last wicket. Jayavikrama will look to play more carefully, defensively, while Ambaldenia is going to chance his arms, or at least that's what we see here in terms of the approach. And no surprises. We're going to have a bit of pace.
Yeah, good move by the captain. This move certainly has potential. And if Shannon Gabriel picks up another one here, he deserves it. Bowled his heart out in this heat. In demanding conditions. Still running in, bending his back.
Well played by young Praveen Jayavikrama. He got into line. Didn't really flinch. We haven't still seen the short stuff, but the first delivery got into line. Played it defensively. Well, you can expect the short ball. There is a forward short leg. 2 slips and a gully. Short mid-wicket and a mid-on. This time, glided between second slip and gully. And that's a boundary.
Well, West Indian team have themselves to blame. Why mid-wicket? Why not somebody in the slips? Bowling at number 11. Are you looking to save runs? Or are you looking to pick up a wicket? He's been unlucky. Bowled really well throughout this game, Shannon Gabriel. Yeah, he started off with a few wide deliveries down the leg side, but settled in very quickly.
Now the slips have gotten a little bit tighter. 3 slips, expect the short ball. Oh. We've been speaking about this man, Hornball. He's such a safe catcher. He did have to run back to pick up those, stop those 3 runs, but take a look at his catching. He's a very, very safe fielder. Massive hands, bucket-like hands, and he looks pretty stable at slip.
Yeah, he moved swiftly in the slips. He anticipated that reverse sweep and was in a very good position to hold on to that chance which was created by the off spinner.
Again, his intention is to get forward. Praveen Jayawickrama is looking to come forward. So far, Gabriel has obliged by pitching the ball up. We've seen 4 deliveries. There goes Jason Holder. He's pointing towards the head. He's letting Ptv Sports know. But the problem is, I'm not sure whether they understand his accent. Jason Holder's accent. We need Fazir to tell us.
He might not understand the accent, but the gesture must have been understood. But I think it's a double bluff.
Jayawickrama is not looking at him. That's the good thing. He's not looking at Jason Holder. He's concentrating fully on the bowler. Now a leg slip comes in. Forward short leg as well. Will it be the Yorker? Leg stump Yorker. On actually a short delivery. Let's see. Again a length outside the off stump. He's survived. He's done well. He's not really edged it. The time he did, he got a boundary. When it was pitched up, he got behind the ball.
A top order batsman might have edged it or left it. He has to pitch the ball close to the off stump. Sharon Gabriel. That's where he has the chances to pick up another wicket, which he thoroughly deserves. Plenty of catches around the bat. What it's going to be, a bouncer, full pitched. Again, tempting the batsman outside the off stump. End of a decent over once again from Sharon Gabriel, and it's 384 for 9.
.384 for 9. Ambulenia 15, Jayawickrama 8. Partnership of 23. It's been a struggle for the batsman on day 2. By comparison, runs haven't been easy to come by. Sri Lanka have lost 6 wickets, 117 runs in the day, 45 overs bowled. Chase continues from round the wicket this time. That time just firing the ball in. When he was looking to toss it, Ambulenia took the aggressive approach and went over mid-wicket. And this time from round the wicket, just firing it in. He's not referring it. Silly point and a slip. Drags it. Again aiming for that mid-wicket area, but Chase was smart. He went wider. Really didn't give it in the zone. Look how wide he goes. This was in fact 2 balls ago when he was looking to come down the pitch. Just looking to negotiate it. That was the one that excited the West Indian fieldsman. But the next delivery was fired in wider. Again, there is a man, and well, he's thrown it in. For a moment, he appeared to be underneath it. But I'm sure the third umpire will take a look at it. That's Kyle Mayers.
And nevertheless, it was a good effort by Myers, certainly saving few runs. Judged it well. But couldn't quite keep the balance. And had kept the wits about it. Managed to throw the ball in the field. Hence, saving 4 runs for his side. He's all right there. He's all right there. The ball is released.
This is brilliant, isn't it? Fielding is at another level. We've seen it happen in T20 cricket. And one thing is that fielding has improved so much. T20 cricket has brought about that. Catching or saving sixers and the way the fielders react. And this is another example of it. The presence of mind to throw it back. And just making sure that he didn't touch that line as well. Chipped in there. It's 5 for Roston Chase. He was deceived in the flight. And Lassit Tambuldenia chancing his arms, looking to go over extra cover. Very well caught by the man at extra cover. It's the 4th time that Roston Chase has got 5 wickets, and he thoroughly deserves it. Sri Lanka, 386 all out.
Yeah, richly deserved it. Bowled really well. Realized bowling quicker to the left-handed batsman who was looking to heave the ball wasn't the right idea. Flighted the ball. They got the just reward. Excellent stuff from West Indies on day 2. Came out with a purpose. Came out determined. Were able to execute their plans, especially this man in the picture. Got a fifer. Quite an achievement. Not allowing the Sri Lankan team to breach 400 runs. Yeah, he picked up 5 wickets, but not to forget. Great effort from Holder, Shannon Gabriel. Warwicken also bowled well. And Cornwall not only held few catches, but also bowled well, contributed.
Yeah, the West Indies will be pleased. 119 runs and 7 wickets is an excellent return on day 2. Sri Lanka was looking to try and pile on the agony, as they call it, starting the day on 267 for 3, and this is all they get in return. Karunaratne, a very fine 147, Nisanka 56 yesterday, Dhananjay De Silva 61, and Chandimal 45, the scorers on day 2.
Your 2 big partnerships enabled Sri Lanka to get to 386. Captain Karunaratne was once again excellent. He was unlucky to miss out on 150 in Test match. A much better effort today from the West Indian bowlers. Roston Chase was the leader of the pack, picked up 5 wickets.
Right, 386 all out, and it's time for a break, and the West Indies should start their innings pretty soon. Sri Lanka been dismissed for 386 after resuming on 267 for 3. They did take a long time over their innings. The West Indian bowling was excellent. Karunaratne 147 was the pick, but good support from Dhananjay Chandimal. But what about Dimut Karunaratne, the captain? 13th 100 in Test cricket, his 7th in the first innings and his 4th at Galle, and he's really enjoyed this venue. Did play some exquisite shots.
It was a great mix of concentration, patience and endurance. We all know about his ability. But how well he takes the responsibility to score runs as a captain for his side. Likes to lead from the front.
Yeah, two big partnerships, the 139 and the 111. But otherwise, Sri Lanka didn't really put on anything big. The innings was built around these partnerships, and Dimut Karunaratne involved in both. And let's take a look at the wickets of the Sri Lankan innings.
Yeah, chased a wide one with the open face of the bat, and I thought he missed out on a big one. That was a good delivery. Had the batsman lunging forward, and Matthews was never comfortable against the pace bowlers, and eventually was picked up by Chase, and that was peculiar, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty unfortunate as well. Then Karunaratne really got a good spinning off break. Was dragged forward, dragged out of his crease, and was stumped well by the wicketkeeper Joshua De Silva. And then Ramesh Mendis also got a peach of a delivery that turned and bounced, touched the glove. Lakmal on the back foot was plumb. And Dinesh Chandimal attempting the reverse sweep, and great anticipation by Cornwall. This was Dushmantha Chameera. Was looking to hoik it over mid-wicket and a simple catch.
Yeah, fielding has been good throughout this test match. Pounced on every opportunity, the West Indian fielders. You can say this was a comeback of sorts by the West Indian team. Never allowed the Sri Lankan innings to breach that 400 mark, which the captain was looking for.
So 386, that's a fairly daunting task for the West Indies, but let's take a look at what they have. Well, Craig Brathwaite, the captain, he's the most experienced with 139 innings. I mean, average of 32. Most of the averages are in either the low 30s or the mid 30s. Just one in the high 30s in Bonner. So that can be an issue for the West Indies, not having somebody who has really broken free and established himself in Test cricket.
Yeah, somebody to anchor the innings. Somebody who could replicate what the Sri Lankan captain did in the first innings. Played for a long time. Just milking on the bowlers which was provided to him. But it's a decent total on the board. And if they can make early inroads, they can really put West Indies under real pressure.
The Sri Lankan team, well, the think tank, so to speak, and the West Indian captain, Craig Brathwaite, he will have a great responsibility to make sure that he takes this West Indian side through to calmer waters, because this will be a test by spin as far as the West Indies are concerned.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy sailing for them, that's for sure. They have to bat sensibly. It's going to be a huge test of the West Indian batsmen. How are they going to manage this innings? How are they going to deal with the different kind of bowlers on this particular pitch? The conditions aren't alien for the West Indian batsmen. They are exposed to these kind of pitches back home as well. So they should know what they are supposed to do out there in the middle. It's not all about occupying the crease. They have to make sure the scoreboard has to tick.
Well, the Sri Lankan spinners, they're going to be key in this game. Well, for a very long time, Sri Lanka haven't played two seamers at Galle. They've now taken that route with Chamira and Suranga Lakmal, who's a spearhead. Chamira on the back of a brilliant white ball season he's had. But the three Sri Lankan spinners, just 14 games between them. They're not experienced by any means, but great potential. They've delivered at the right time. They've won games for Sri Lanka. So it will be pretty interesting looking at how these three players, or these three spinners, they blend into the Sri Lankan bowling plan and how they work in partnerships. I'm very keen to look at the two left-arm spinners. Two left-arm orthodox spinners, slightly different, but very, very effective. Yeah, it's going to be a challenge for the West Indies. Let's not forget that 300 plus 386. A lot of runs on the board. The West Indies will have to do well on a pitch that is increasingly or progressively getting slower and starting to assist the spinners as the game progresses.
Yeah, the first challenge for the West Indian batsman to see off the new ball and make sure they go beyond 187 run to avoid the follow-on. Once they're able to do that, they'll open the doors for themselves in this test match. At times when, as a side, you are down and out in a test match, winning is not only the positive result. If you manage to draw a test match when you're down and out, that's a great result too. So that's what a West Indian team should be looking to do at this point.
So Brathwaite on strike, the first ball of the innings. In fact, it's Blackwood, I beg your pardon, it's not Brathwaite. Sorry, it's Brathwaite on strike. Blackwood at the non-strikers end.
Straight away, middle it. I played that ball with all the confidence in the world.
Well, there was a slight confusion in terms of who was on strike, but it is Brathwaite. As for Blackwood, Amir, interestingly, he's not opened even at first class level. So he's been thrusted. It's obviously a stopgap arrangement.
He must have a good batting technique. That's why he's been preferred as an opener. He's been interested and should respond well.
So the captain and vice captain taking things, taking the responsibility of things, opening together. Shai Hope could have been an option, but he's here as, or Shai Hope, he is a concussion sub, and he has always batted in the top order, but the West Indies have chosen not to get him to open. Two slips and a gully. Lakmal generally has a good with his outswing. Tends to get the ball to leave the right-hander. He's tight with his lines and lengths. He used to bowl much quicker in the past, but now he's a far more controlled fast bowler. He bowls between speeds of 130 to 135, never really looks to bend his back too much, but he's someone who relies a lot on control, and he's had some great rewards.
Yeah, he used to bowl quick. He has sacrificed a bit of pace to be able to get that accuracy. He's already tempting the batsman outside the off stump. That's once again a very good delivery. The batter had to be watchful.
Yeah, that will be his line, just to probe around that off stump. With 2 slips and a gully, he'll just keep challenging the batsman with the line. He gets nice wrist position as he releases the ball. He's mastered the art of seam bowling to a great extent. He's bowled on Sri Lankan pitchers that haven't really lent itself to seam bowling. It's not for naught at the end of the first over.
Those numbers are pretty ordinary, some cases mediocre, which is why the West Indies know they've got a challenge on their hands. The bowlers did a good job limiting Sri Lanka from getting to 400 and beyond. But you've got yet another makeshift opening pair. Craig Brathwaite is certainly established, but as you just heard, Jermaine Blackwood hasn't even opened in the first-class game for his native Jamaica. But here he is now at the top of the order. An attacking player by nature, likes to go over the top, mid-off, mid-on. First delivery from Dushmantha Chameera, just on leg stump. Allows him to get off strike via a leg bye, so neither batsman yet off the mark. Jihan, this is going to be a tricky period for the West Indies pair, but for Chameera and Lakmal, they sense the opportunity for an early breakthrough.
Yeah, tricky period to negotiate just before tea. Spending almost a day and a half out in the field. Tired legs. Dushmantha Chameera will look to use that new ball, get some movement and get early breakthroughs for Sri Lanka. Fazir, you are understandably perturbed by the changing the opener. West Indies losing Solozano to a concussion. Shea Hope coming on as the concussion sub. West Indies, of course, choosing to open with Jermaine Blackwood. Any possible reason for that? I know he's not opened before. But is there any possible reason maybe they want to put Sri Lanka on the back foot? Come out a bit harder.
Well, you're giving me the opportunity for a long run-up. There's really a story to Shea Hope, because you might think automatically that he would get that opportunity. But there we look at Jermaine Blackwood. Started brightly, but he's been dropped in and out of the team several times. Couple of hundreds, couple of 90s. But overall, when you look at it, his best position way down the order, really. Not a familiar position at all for him at the top. But Shea Hope started his test career in 2015 against England at the top of the order, but only because that was the only opening for him in the team. It's been an almost perpetual struggle for the West Indies to get a solid opening partner to Craig Brathwaite. And Hope got his place in the team, didn't really succeed. In fact, came to Sri Lanka in 2015, opening the batting as well, and also struggled there. And it was only when he was pushed into his more comfortable position, 3-4, around that spot, that he finally appeared to be getting into his own. Had famously twin hundreds in the test match against England in Headingley. First time that had ever been achieved. And that was felt to be the moment when he would kick on in his career. It hasn't happened. And then he was dropped because he continued to average in the mid-20s up until the tour of England last year, and he was dropped after that tour. Only came back in earlier this year, again at the top of the order, again because John Campbell, who opened against Sri Lanka in Antigua 5 months ago, had a series of failures and was dropped. Easily played, gave him some width outside the off stump, picked up the spot and the line very early, and it's 5 without loss at the end of the over.
Just a little bit of width on there by Dushmantha Chameera. Craig Bathwaite just standing tall, hitting, rolling his wrists over it. And there you have the summary of the session. 3 wickets in the first, 4 in the second, ending the Sri Lankan innings at 386.
Good comeback by the West Indies on day 2 from an overnight position. Sri Lanka 267 for 3, limited in the end to 386. But there are runs on the board, give the reputation of frailty and inconsistency in the West Indies batting lineup. They've got to replicate a bit of what we saw in the Caribbean against Sri Lanka in Antigua at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium. He gets off the mark now. Jermaine Blackwood, first runs at the top of the order in any form of cricket, first class or test, for the West Indies or for his home territory, Jamaica. But just to complete that question for you, let's take a look at this last delivery of the previous over. Just gave him the width outside the off stump, and it was easy picking thereafter, taking the pace of that delivery from Chameera to the backward point boundary. And then, as I mentioned, Shai Hope was dropped after the England tour last year and only got back into the team again because of the continuous failings at the top of the order, John Campbell and then Karen Powell. And then he came in against South Africa and really struggled against the pace of the South Africans. So it's really been a difficult situation for him, and I suppose they felt that, look, he's come in as a concussion replacement for Jeremy Salazano, and given his struggles at the top of the order, might be even tougher to put him in again.
So perhaps that's something the West Indian think tank going into this test series or this test match had already made that call, that Blackwood will be the opener as a backup opener in case they need that option.
Yeah, it was always understood that Jeremy Salazano would be the opening partner to Jermaine Blackwood. And again, for a young man, unfortunate for him that he picked up that injury fielding at short leg. The good news is, though, that he's travelling back to the team hotel here in Galle from Colombo, where he was held for observation in hospital after he was taken away in the ambulance. Thankfully, no serious physical damage, but as a concussion protocol, he's been replaced officially by Shai Hope for this test match, for the remainder of this test. But yeah, it's and he averages only 23.4 in first class cricket, Jeremy Salazano. It's a measure of the real struggles that the West Indies have faced in the domestic game back in the Caribbean to really get quality opening batsmen coming to the fore, that you've got to have another makeshift opener in Jermaine Blackwood.
Well, they seem to be doing okay so far. Both Surang Lakmal and Dushmantha Chameera striving for that swing, seam even, none forthcoming. Both seem to be negotiating this quite comfortably.
Well, Jihan, I don't think we want to say surviving 16 deliveries is enough to consider it a success for your opening pair, as bad as it might be for the West Indies. It really is about establishing that foundation, and that's why you look at someone like Dimuth Karunaratne. You understand the role, the classic role of the opening batsman in Test cricket. The anchor, the fulcrum, setting the tone, seeing off the new ball, then getting into your own. There are so many styles and contrast to opening batsmanship, but essentially That's what you want that opening batsman to do.
Surang Lakmal for the last ball of the third over. Left well alone to Dinesh Chandimal. 7 for no loss after 3.
This bird's eye view offers you so many different perspectives. You can see those buses parked away off to one side. But the West Indies, they really like to see Brathwaite and Blackwood parked at least to the tea interval first and foremost, and going a lot longer in the final session. The batting lineup for the West Indies minus Jeremy Salazano, replaced by Shea Hope, who probably could come in at 3, maybe 4, and Krumabana is generally been established at number 3.
Slight change in attack.
That's Bonner padded up there. Looks as if he's going to come in at number 3. Had an outstanding start to his Test career earlier this year. Couple of 80s and then 100 against Sri Lanka on the last day of that first Test match at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium. But then was a concussion substitute himself in the Test match against South Africa, the first Test. Struck flush on the helmet by Anrik Nokia.
Yeah, there's the short ball from Dushmantha Chameera, figuring out that the fuller stuff wasn't working. That's something that they will need to use. And these are the scores of Shea Hope by position. Most of his innings at the top of the order. You know, but still the average is not backing those numbers. 14, 17, 50 averaging at number 5.
He's hardly batted at number 5 very often, but that probably would have been with a night watchman situation, I suspect. But really it's that number 4 spot, those 785 runs. That's not a bad shout. Will they consider reviewing this one? He didn't have a lot of movement across the stumps. They're looking at it. Might be an issue of the bounce.
Chandimal doesn't look too confident behind the stumps. He kind of thought that was going down the leg side. Immediately motion to Dimuth Karunaratne that he should not take that upstairs. But that looked a very, very close shout indeed.
He's not a tall man, is Jermaine Blackwood. Looks, even from this position, as if it might be one of those famous umpire's call situations. Chameera beating him for pace.
So Sri Lanka looking to target the stumps, bring the bowled and LBW into play, both fast bowlers. And the short ball, just to keep the batsman honest, push him back on his heels. And the fuller ball, just like this, coming back in, hit him in front. Ooh, Dimuth Karunaratne, you've missed a trick. Or should that be Dinesh Chandimal from behind the stumps? That's a big call. Mickey Arthur's not going to be happy in the dressing room. He certainly isn't there.
Well, we talked about the West Indies needing some generous slices of luck. Well, they've got a really good dose already. Because as you said, Karunaratne would have been looking to Chandimal behind the stumps and didn't seem to get the sort of reaction that would have encouraged him. But he had shuffled right across the stumps, Craig Brathwaite, and he's gotten a reprieve because it was not reviewed by Sri Lanka.
Big call that. I guess that's something in the team call, in team decisions as well. Who makes the call? Who is in the best position to decide?
Brathwaite survives 9 without loss. The distinctive tower of the goal fort.
Someone needs to get up there and fix that clock. Is it? Is that 2:30? My apologies. They're looking after it very well indeed.
Clock on the fort is accurate. Just about 8 minutes away to the tea interval. And the West Indies with a generous slice of luck because Sri Lanka didn't review that not out LBW appeal.
Yeah, just pushed out in the covers. A little bit of a misunderstanding between the batters, but also a fumble in the outfield, allowing them to come back for the second run. Here's that shout from Dushmantha Chamira. It looked very, very close to the naked eye. Umpire Kumar Dharmasena was not moved. He thought about it for a long, long time. There you see, just pitching outside the off stump, impact in line and hitting the leg stump. Mickey Arthur is not a happy man. Dimut Karunaratne motioning to Chandimal. The wicketkeeper is in the best position to make that call, isn't he, in that situation?
Yeah, but okay, it's obvious that you're disappointed, but it's a call, it's a judgment call. You're never going to get it exactly 100%. And at the end of the day, you will have to have your protocols, and again, it was Blackwood with that LBW shout. I probably said in error it was Craig Brathwaite. It was Julian Blackwood because they scrambled a leg by on the appeal. But again, it comes down to that level of understanding, because you know the keeper is probably in the best position to judge. And with someone of Chandimal's experience, you think that, again, that understanding should be there between himself and Karunaratne. And okay, he got it wrong. It's not the end of the world. Because, again, it's a judgment call. If he had said, let's review it, and it had been umpire's call, there'd be a different song being sung. It's all part of the game.
Yeah, Sri Lanka still targeting the straight length. Slightly different approach to the West Indies. Obviously, the build that the Sri Lankans have, not the same as the West Indians. Run in a lot harder, hit the deck a lot harder, extract more pace and bounce. But Suranga Lakmal and Dushmantha Chamira need to resort to a fuller length.
And just finishing up on that point about the role of the wicketkeeper, I think it's good to see that there is that protocol, and it comes down to that confidence and that trust between captain and keeper. For the West Indies, we've seen that tested on occasion, because sometimes Joshua De Silva, who's relatively new to Test cricket, as the wicketkeeper, sometimes you might feel, because you're relatively new and the bowler is appealing vehemently and insisting. Do you have that confidence as a relatively young person in the team? Have you been given that confidence to make that call? And it's never going to be 100%.
And these are the things that do happen in Test cricket. A drop chance, a wrong call on a review. You need to move on from it.
$11 without loss.
The West Indian innings so far, Brathwaite and Blackwood. Makeshift opener, we think. West Indies have gone with Jermaine Blackwood, although there may have been some discussions prior to this Test series. They've done well so far, 11 for no loss.
generous dose of good fortune already for the West Indies, with Sri Lanka not choosing to review an LBW appeal to Jermaine Blackwood of the bowling of Dushmantha Chamira. They've probably got another over to survive to the tea interval. Hopefully they would have had a good catch, or maybe heading out to pull those nets in. And Buldania, who I don't think bowled as well as he could have in the Caribbean earlier this year.
Yeah, he did have an injury on his finger which took a long time to correct. He had surgery on his thumb. Last over before tea. Spin straight away. Getting the outside edge of Brathwaite. Played with soft hands. Falling short of the field at first slip. It is spin straight away. Nice soft hands though. Making sure the ball goes to ground. That's a poor second delivery. Full toss hits the field at short leg. Osha the Fernando on the fingers. That's going to sting. He watched the ball all the way, did Osha there? Didn't turn away. Oh, that's nice. This is good bowling by Ambuldenia. It's a nice loop, getting a little bit of drift. Bowling at 78 kilometers an hour, slightly slower than what the West Indian spinners operated at.
Well, you would have seen Jomel Warrican from day one getting bounce and turn.
I'd like another fielder in there, on the off, under the batsman's nose, just a couple of overs or a couple of minutes before tea. You know, make sure that the batsman is given the message that anything in there, I'm going to catch it. Craig Brathwaite fashioning a pair of sunglasses in his stint before tea. And that's the last ball of the over. Is that tea? Umpire Kumar Dharmasena asking the question, perhaps from his umpire. And they agree that we're going to have one more over. 11 without loss after 6.
So far the West Indies have negotiated potentially choppy waters pretty well. 6 overs, and they've got to handle another. Looks like if it's going to be another over of spin after the opening efforts of Chamira and Suranga Lakmal. Well poised.
Come on, Praveen, come on, Praveen!
On top of the Hawkeye camera. Hopefully won't get in the way of the view. Last over now we show to the tea interval.
Spin again. Praveen Jayavikrama from the fourth end. Slightly different bowler to Ambuldenia. Slightly wider release. Doesn't get the same height as Ambuldenia, but can drift the ball in.
Oh, yes, buddy! Yes, boy! Yes, boy!
Well, when you've got 11 wickets on your test debut as he did, and you're now playing your second match, there's obviously going to be that weight of expectation. It can be a burden rather than a blessing.
Come on, boy! Come on, boy!
Beautiful delivery. Drifted in with the arm and gripped Let's have a look at this.
Come on, boy.
Beautiful seam position. Look at the revs on that ball. And grips as soon. That's quick turn as well. It's quick turn.
Come on, lad.
The batsman doesn't have time to adjust. That immediately brings the second slip in.
And as ominous as it might look with so much turn with a relatively new ball, Blackwood and Brathwaite have got to put all of that out of their minds. All of the shouting and the chat that might be going on, whether they understand it or not, they'll know it's all about the excitement being generated behind them and the expectation that a wicket could be falling at any time. They've got to lock that out completely. And just think about the challenge that's immediately ahead of them. 2 more deliveries.
Oh, that's too short. I think Praveen Rawat from looking for that arm ball, looking for that LBW perhaps. Sri Lanka would love to take a wicket in with them for tea. That's a big, big shot. That's a close one. Umpire Ruchira Paliagurage agrees.